Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the Professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Good evening. Welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hi, guys.
Season 2, Episode 3.
Yes.
So welcome, guys. We've got D down below. D's joining us tonight, as he sometimes does. And we've got Jesse. Oh, it's over here. Oh, in the corner. I started to do it the other wrong way, but I've changed it to where it goes the right way, but I keep forgetting that. So
Professor taught me how to do that last week.
I know, it's pretty cool, isn't it? So, but
I was always like, wait, mirror.
You got to point the wrong direction, right? But now we've got it mirrored.
I would still get it confused.
Exactly. So we want to talk a little bit about Dungeons and Dragons, the fiasco with Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, the OGL, and charging $30 for memberships to play D&D.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we want to cover tonight. So if you guys aren't familiar that are watching out there, the OGL stands for Open Gaming License, and there's been one around since 2000 for D&D, allowing not only creators to be able to do their things, but also for people that, even for homebrew stuff, to feel very encouraged to go do their own thing and create cool stuff.
See how much snow we got? Guys, just look.
I was about ready to say I've been on this more times than Spoo has, but I guess he's there now.
Well, I keep looking for him to pull out a red lightsaber out there.
At least there was things on under the trench.
Oh, that's cold.
So as we've talked before, Dungeons & Dragons is owned by Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro. And Hasbro has realized that Dungeons & Dragons actually is big-time money for them.
Right.
So they have decided that they are under developing to be able to get the money that they deserve. They're under monetizing is what they called it. Yeah. Quite a term there.
Listen. They bought the company for how much money?
Well, they bought D&D Beyond for $14 billion.
Right. You really think that so they bought a company for $14 billion and thought to themselves, hey, they're not making enough money. Then why did you spend so much on this company?
That's a great question.
It would be like me with my little mediocre paycheck going out and spending all of it on I don't know, even I can't. It's so frustrating because it's like, I get it. You got a new asset that makes money, that people like, that's super popular, and you want to, utilize your asset to make yourself more money.
But in their case, we want to make everybody that is big fans and all the money we're going to get here mad and start dropping off memberships because we're going to act like we're some big hoarders.
And that's the thing. They're literally screwing themselves out of millions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing of it is when Hasbro bought Wizards, they didn't really buy it because of D&D. They bought it because of Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
And Magic
100%.
the Gathering has now become if I remember right, their number 2 or number 3 selling product for Hasbro. Still behind Transformers, still behind the action figures and the board games, but they thought they were going to get that level of recompensation from D&D that they got from Magic the Gathering. That's why we started seeing things like Strixhaven and Ravnica and Mythic Theros come in as D&D worlds, so they could kind of mesh the two together. Cynthia Williams is actually CEO of WotC, Wizards of the Coast. She's the one who reports directly to Hasbro's board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who came out and said that D&D was under-monetized.
Yep.
And the reason why she said that is because Hasbro wants to see D&D grow to $500 to up to $1 billion a year in revenue by 2030. That's going to be a lot for a pen and paper.
I mean, there's enough potential there, but they went about it the wrong way.
Right.
Oh, not disagreeing that, no.
Yeah, and I think most people do. But like, I could easily see there. I've been on a lot of the forums and really following it, and there was one person who was like, okay, if we want to monetize D&D more, why aren't we seeing more official merch? You know,
Right.
like, and especially with the streaming services, with that new movie coming out, they have the option of, you know, creating TV shows and creating more movies and that kind of stuff to really build the product, build the franchise without price gouging players and DMs and the creators who honestly support and keep that business alive.
Right.
It's okay. They're literally screwing themselves so bad because they're angering the people who would have, if they would have just done this the right way and not come out and just been like, boom, here it is, and all of this stuff. These are people who have been doing D&D. Like, I've played D&D since like the early 80s.
Right.
I know Professor has. I know Dee has been playing for a really long time too. I'm not going to age either one of those. I'll age myself. But it's just one of those things. Like, sorry, Keith had a comment there.
Yep.
Have been missing the mark for a long time. Yes, they have. But they've been screwing themselves out of the potential. Like, if you want it more monetized, then do something positive and that's going to get the fans and the players excited and not feel like they're being like punished because you're, you know, stupid. Sorry.
Well, we had two of you there for a moment, Jesse. So
Yeah.
and Dee hopefully be back here soon.
I accidentally hit the back button and it logged me out, so I logged back in instead of switching back over to the browser. So
That's all right. We're all good here. We're all good. So yeah, no, I agree with Keith that they have been missing the mark with what's going on here. And what his statement here was on this one was that unless they change their text, the D&D film is in trouble, which is really interesting because, the fans are talking about not going to see this movie, which is really sad because this movie looks really good. It looks really well done for a change. And I can see this being a big blockbuster, but I can also see it being a big nothing if you keep the fans angry because those are who are going to go see the movie.
It's so disappointing because we've waited so long for a really good D&D movie that the fact that they've done this is just, it's just not.
It's very sad. Dee said that he had to leave because he couldn't hear us, so he's coming right back. So
executive, yes.
Well, and I think one of the big things too is with this movie is that, like you said, we've waited forever for something even close to Lord of the Rings-esque for the D&D community. And our community is so tight-knit that if they don't get their act together, I don't see this movie being successful, because
I agree.
my entire, D&D related friend group has already been like, we're not going. They're not going at all. And I fully support that decision.
Keith, let me send you an invite and you can just stay, buddy.
Yep.
But yeah, it's
those things.
it was really a big slap in the face. Like, I started playing in 2017, 2016, 2017. So I've been playing nearly as long as everybody else.
Well, you're not
like,
nearly as long.
It's
statement.
Yeah, the community and the community and friendships that I've built through D&D have been amazing. And so it really makes me sad to see them, just slapping everybody in the face with,
right.
You don't give us enough money, and we're not going to try and be creative and make our own investments for it.
So as a DM, I do use D&D Beyond. I find it to be a very great tool. It's wonderful. It contains everything right there. I don't have to think about everybody's sheets and everything else. I can go on and do things at my fingertips. I pay a month or a yearly subscription fee. And so when there was talk about, canceling your subscription, I'm paid up through like August. So I really can't cancel until then. But this is a system that makes life really easy for a subscription, and then I buy my books that way. So I'm giving them money, but I'm not going to be giving them more money if they're going to keep this up. So not only are we going to fail at this movie, but you're going to lose out on people that are like, this is a great service. But if you told me you were going to charge another $10 a year for a yearly membership, okay, I get it. You're going to move prices up. Okay. Book prices go up a couple bucks. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll do that. But I'm not going to pay $30 a month. And that's what the rumor is. That's not been substantiated. People are coming out and saying that's not really true. But that is the rumor of a $30 lease for a highest level of D&D. I pay $50 a year. I'm not paying $30 a month. I mean, no, thank you. There are other alternatives, and people are looking at the other alternatives out there. And D&D's gone from a record number of tabletop games that are all focused on D&D to people are starting to look and say, what else can we play? Because if you're going to do this to us, if you're going to do this to your creators that you partnered with for 20 years,
right,
and now you're talking about doing this to us, all because you want control, you're going to have a big control of nothing because nobody's going to be left.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing is there are so many options. I don't think that they realize how many options there are. It's RPG. There's so many different ways that you can create your own stuff. And people know DMs have been doing this for years and years.
Yeah.
They use that D&D world and 5th edition, 4th edition, whatever it is, wherever you're at. They use those as kind of a building block, but they create their own things a lot of the time. So I think that they somehow think they have this monopoly. Get what I did there? On this D&D world, but it's about being creative, and they don't. The tools are great, like you were saying.
Right.
The tools are great. The name D&D is something that Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, I remember when it was like satanic and you were going to go to hell if you played Dungeons and Dragons, and now it's like everybody plays.
So, yeah. Now youth groups are playing, which is really kind of funny to me. So
that's so fun. But it's just one of those things. They really are screwing themselves up. And I don't know, like you said, there's no like official price that's been released or anything like that, but they need to get on that, because the longer they wait to announce, like, say it's not that much, say it's like $5 more a month or whatever. Like, the longer they take to announce, the more it's like stirring the pot. Like, it's not good. They just need to go and say, nope, there's been a lot of rumors. This is the truth. This is what's going on. And put people's minds at ease rather than we are creative people. We're D&D players. We're always looking for the trap. There's always a trap. You never trust your DM. And the casters with DM, you never trust them. But you just gotta like show all the cards, basically.
Well, and they've created a big trust issue, and they continue to create a trust issue because people received contracts with the new OGL attached to it, and they keep saying, "Well, that was just a copy, and that wasn't the real thing." And
rough draft.
We rough drafted that, but you don't send a rough draft out with a contract.
No.
And because they keep doubling down on it, people are like, we can't trust a word. And it's just like it is with politicians. What gets politicians in trouble are the lies they tell with everything else. That's what causes them the problem. And now we have Pop Culture Minefield with us. Hey, Keith. Hi.
Hello to everyone.
Keith, this is Jesse.
Hello, Jesse. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Keith. Nice to meet you.
That's the problem, though. People are losing. People have lost trust, and they're continuing to lose trust because they're not being transparent. Right. And I don't care. You're a multi-billion-dollar company. You don't send out rough drafts for contracts. You don't. You just don't. Like, I'm sorry. Is your lawyer stupid? Then maybe you need to pay a new lawyer. Because that's not what you do. I don't send out rough drafts for contracts, and I own like a one-woman business. I'm just throwing that shit out there.
There's your one.
You see a lot of this going on because, as I have found, the corporate entertainment industry nowadays do not respect us at all.
Right.
They respect the money that we bring them. And when you ask anyone that works in a corporate structure about stuff like, say, D&D or other games, they don't see it with the same eye that we do. The fact that that game was created partially out of a love of things like Lord of the Rings. They don't see that. They don't connect that. What they do is they connect the fact that, hey, here's something that a lot of people seem to be playing, have played for years. I wonder how we can increase the amount of money that we can get out of it. So what you're watching is a massive sunsetting of a lot of what they call evergreen properties. Okay? Evergreen properties from a corporate point of view are anything that has made a lot of money and can be passed down from one generation to another. And as I'm getting ready to do in another 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be having a show with us talking about how we are being ignored and how you're seeing a lot of legacy properties fall by the wayside.
Right.
Because they don't care. They really don't care. And the people running Hasbro aren't the same people who 30 years ago would have been playing D&D. And what few people do have experience are not being listened to. So unless you're someone that is a part of what they consider the target group is anyone under 30, they're not going to listen to any of us. And they'll continue to give this really attention until financially it's no longer viable.
Yeah. Which is sad.
It's beyond sad. But that's the reason why everything isn't doing well financially. You know, Disney's having problems. Warner Brothers having problems. Everybody in Hollywood's having problems. Everybody in the entertainment industry is having problems.
Well, maybe they should get their heads out of their backside and then they wouldn't have problems. Like, use some freaking common sense. Look at me, Professor. I'm mad, and I'm not even cursing. I just got my one.
I know. I heard you. I heard you.
The S word, and it's not even the good one.
I will let me at least set this one last thing up. I don't know if you guys read the interview with Nate Moore, who is the producer, who is one of the current producers currently in charge of the MCU. And his interview, and I think I sent a copy of this to you, Larry. But in his interview, and this was dated around the time that Wakanda Forever was coming out. Right. He had talked about the fact that one of their biggest priorities is to not hire fans to write movies anymore. And he didn't really realize while he was giving this interview how much of a change that is from how Kevin Feige talked. Well, that mentality is the kind of mentality that you're going to be dealing with a lot of toy companies and a lot of other companies that have any kind of corporate structure. They really do not see this as a massive legacy thing where people like us are the people that you listen to. Right. That's just the way it is.
It's just such a lack of foresight.
Well, I mean, that's what Kathleen Kennedy said. That's the reason why when they were building the rides and stuff connected to Star Wars after Disney first bought it, they spent years developing rides based on Star Wars. But the rides they were working on had nothing to do with the new movies. They were all set up for the original trilogy films. And at the 11th hour, Kathleen Kennedy had them change it. Why? Because in her mind, as she told the guys from Imagineering, those that are still there now, she told them that there is no sense in focusing on anything in the past. She didn't want the 50-year-old fans. She didn't want, her thing was new stuff. So they were to change everything up to match the new aesthetics of the new films they were making. So that is the mentality.
So who has the money? Isn't it people our age that actually have the money to spend on something?
I mean, we're the biggest demographic right now, spending on the books, on the minis. We're fueling the Etsy market right now. We're going to be the ones that go out and see the movie.
Yes.
We're going to be the ones to check out the Amazon. We're the ones who has that money, and that's what's really bad. Like he attested to. They don't see the consumer as driving these markets forward. They see us as, oh, they're there. And if they don't want to be there, then somebody else will be there.
Yeah, well, Dee's right. But I will go a step further. They see it as the kids that are currently focused on anime and manga. They see that as their audience. That's the reason why DC and Marvel completely changed how they were making their comics. The focus of the films have changed. This is what Kathleen Kennedy was looking at. The only thing is that while they are focused on them, they don't have as much money as we do.
Right.
But in Kathleen Kennedy's world, we're not long for this world. And so
you're not far off, Steve.
Okay, we can say that Jesse here is a lot younger than all the rest of us. I'm just going to put that out there. Like, Jesse's a little longer for the world than the rest of us.
But that's the way they see us. And Jesse, I'm discounting you, okay? But I mean, they really don't want me.
I've always been told I'm an old soul. It's okay.
You are.
You look very young, but I was not one to even ask. So, but I will say I plan to live to be 120. So I have two great grandparents that lived to be 199, 103. So I figure by the time technology advances, I could be 120. So they better be looking at me.
I'm like looking at 20 years. I'm good.
Well, so one thing, like with another like long-standing franchise we've seen this with is WWE has gone down this same rough
path.
Where it started with shortly before they started the WWE Network and their subscription, but they started not giving a rat's butt about their long-term fans.
Yeah.
And their focus became not retention, but capturing new casual fans.
Right.
Fans that, and I think that's where a lot of corporate focus is we don't care about our long-term people if we can get enough people in the door. And honestly, you see it in hiring and employment practices too.
Yeah.
As long as we have fresh bodies coming in the door, we don't have to maintain a quality product.
Right.
If we can catch people's eye enough to get a few more views or a 6-month subscription and they drop off after 6 months, oh, well, we're going to get somebody new.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's the unfortunate part of it is corporate mentality has been really in the last 20 years has been about this revolving door. And you've seen it in everything from, you know, the network TV shows, you've seen everything from movies to retail. As long as they've got, like you said, another body, that's all they care about. You're a number.
I think
They don't care about retention.
I think they have miscalculated it with D&D.
I think they're starting to see that there has been some miscalculations. I personally don't think Hasbro thought for a second that they would lose 40,000 memberships to D&D Beyond within 48 hours.
Right.
I felt they thought they were going to just kind of sweep it under the rug. And we talked about this, you know, what was it, last week or the week before?
We did, yes.
Where they thought they were going to just sweep it under the rug. And then once, you know, 1,000, maybe 2,000 people left, the hubbub would be over, and everything on Reddit, everything on Twitter, it was YouTube, was all going to die down, and they could push this draconian OGL through.
Well, and I think one thing that they really overlooked, aside from moving from community to corporate, because they're kind of opposites in the way you build your business, either community-based or corporate. But they really overlooked how community-based D&D already is.
Yeah.
And how active, I don't say older as in age, but older as in length of time immersed in D&D.
No, you can say age too.
But I know people younger than me who have been in it longer than I have.
Right.
You know, and people my own age who have been in it exponentially longer than I have. Because like I said, I've only been playing since 16 or 17, and I know several people my own age who've been playing near 20 years because their parents got them into it.
Right.
But they really underestimated how much of their active market is people who have been in it since they were young.
I don't think, you know what? I wanted to believe that originally. I really do believe they do not really care. And I know that's bad of me to say. I know that's
accurate.
I really do not think they care. I think they look at, again, what they are paying attention to, what everybody in corporate entertainment media is paying attention to, is anime and manga. But they don't know how to react to it. That's what caused Marvel and DC to go out and hire YA authors, or to go out and hire people that have a background in Hollywood storytelling. And what they didn't understand was that there is a certain type of skill in creating comics, and it's the same thing with this. There are a lot of people that have spent a lot of years perfecting and trying to make D&D better.
Right.
And just to walk in and go, you know, I think I know what I'm doing here. And, you know, a lot of you people are going to have to go, and we'll just going to go ahead and handle it the way that we see fit.
Right.
Yeah.
They're taking the creative side of D&D away because they're corporate. The problem with this is D&D is a creatively driven business.
Right.
So
And it has been for
forever.
50 years.
for 50 years.
Like
It's
people
been
talking about community versus corporate. Okay, so they're a corporation. They bought this community-driven, creative-driven business, and instead of just embracing that and building upon what they already had, they decide that they're going to like, oh, let's change things up, which you can't do without repercussions when you have a community creative driven business.
You're absolutely right.
Well, the other thing is the amount of money that corporations deal with.
Yeah.
Part of the problem that you get with, say, Hollywood films is that everything is structured now to move as much money through it as possible.
Right.
You know, when you look at, say, the success of the MCU films, when you look at Star Wars and other things, and I'm going to use Disney in this, the reason why they're paying so much money for everything is because for them, you get a higher rate of return when you spend a lot of money. You can afford to get the massive talent, okay? The reason why they're having their heads handed to them, as far as, say, animation goes, is when you look at the two big movies that they put out this past year, both of which cost over $150 million apiece. Both of those films basically stiffing at the box office, comparatively speaking, compared to their competition.
Yep.
Okay, when you look at Puss in Boots, that movie was made for about $90 million. When you look at the Minions films and everything connected with those films, averaging between $75 and $95 million to make those. So they're making money hand over fist, and then you add in the toys.
Right.
And that really is the big thing. Well, you have a company like Hasbro that's already tried to do things. Their Power Rangers film didn't seem to do anything at the box office. So what was the lesson they took from that? Okay, well, we're doing it the wrong way. How can we make this better? Well, first of all, we're going to have to look to younger people. So all you older fans telling us how to do things, okay, bye-bye. We're not going to listen to you. Okay? The same thing with Transformers. The same thing that they tried to do with G.I. Joe. You know, when they put out the Snake Eyes film, which, again, personally, I thought the film was good.
Yeah.
But it didn't do what it needed to do.
Right.
And so they took the wrong lesson from all of that. That's really what corporations do. They, unless it's something that gives them what they really want, for the most part, somebody will get, pushed to the side. A lot of people will get fired, usually people that had nothing to do with making those decisions.
Right.
And they'll go ahead and start ignoring fans because you're not giving us what we want, which is a big return for our shareholders, which is really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe if they learn to market things to the right people, and maybe right, maybe if they looked at their actual demographics who would go see these movies, who, because of nostalgia alone, would go see these movies and market to them and not to these kids who don't even know who Joe is.
You are preaching to the choir, my dear. You are.
Maybe they would have a better return. They don't listen because, again, they have their heads so far up their butts that they think that they're correct. And the world is telling them, fans are telling them, whether it be for movies or for D&D, people are telling them, you're wrong. Maybe they should just look and say, okay, how can we make things right? The problem is they're not trying. They're not announcing anything. They're not being transparent with anything. They're just saying, oh, well, that's like, oh, that was a rough draft. Oh, this and this. They're just making excuses. And the problem with that is the people who hold the purse strings who buy their stuff being the people who are older and not my 11-year-old who wants to do D&D because of Stranger Things. See, he ain't got no money. That's my money she's spending. That's
but here's the thing. They're going to listen to the 11-year-old.
Yeah.
If I were 30 years younger on social media, they would be interested in some of the things I had to say. But because I'm the age that I am, and as far as they're concerned, 1 foot in the grave,
32 shouldn't be that, Keith. I don't know.
You are too kind, Larry. Checks in the mail. But I just think that anything that comes out of my mouth, no no matter how sane, automatically they're not going to listen to. In fact, the person who would immediately be on the receiving end of whatever I had to say, I guarantee you, is barely out of their 20s.
Well, if you fill out the D&D survey now, they're going to listen to you because they're on a survey.
So
I think they're going to take some of it into account, but there's some things that they're going to go ahead and just do. They've made their decision, especially with virtual tabletop. I don't think there's anything that the fan base can get around that. That's going to have to go to court.
Yeah.
I do think that's eventually going to go to court. I think that's going to be something that, you know, they since they came out and pretty much said that if you can't replicate it at your home table, then it doesn't apply to the VTT. And quite personally, you know, when I filled out the survey, I said, look, hey, I want to be entertained and I want to entertain my table.
Right.
So if I had the money, if I had like Critical Role money at my table, I could do those little LED light up effects. I could build the Dwarven Forge set pieces and whatnot that they do. But we're talking, they want to charge you with this new VTT from Beyond. They're talking about charging you for everything from sound effects to lighting effects to reveal effects to condition effects to. That's where when you touched on that $30 subscription fee earlier, Larry, that's what they're going to do. Is you're going to have to pay for all these extra levels
out the nose
to get certain things, and it doesn't make sense.
Oh, it makes sense. No. It makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense. You're correct, Keith. It makes sense from a corporate level, from a business level, but from an everyday person, it does not. Man, I'll still go back to and I'll fill everything out in a number 2 pencil and have an eraser.
I started playing D&D way before there was any kind of like we had the sheets and you just filled it out and you just rolled it out. You had dice in a sheet. That's all you had. Dice in a sheet. And guess what? You used your freaking imagination.
You did.
And if they don't think that people who play D&D can still use their imagination, that we are imaginationless, they are wrong.
You know what? They're going to consider all of that, as well as, you know, having to use pots to heat your bed at night and waiting for Ben Franklin to put out the morning paper. And they're gonna have you wait for the mail, which will come by Rider. And you know, this is how they think. This is literally the disconnect. This is the mentality now.
It's a problem.
So as a person who plays some with a VTT, because I do have one of my groups is all online and we play with a VTT, but it's not a constant thing. It's only for when we're having a battle or something like that. And that's basically just to give them a picture of where things are at. And it's a free one that comes that you can get an attachment with D&D Beyond. Of course, that sounds like that's going away. Mm-hmm. And the question is places like Foundry, which have a really good one. You've got Roll20 that has a good one. It sounds like those may be having to go away, or that may be part of what the court battle is about.
Yeah, that's going to be where they go to court over.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But it's a helpful tool for your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
Games are not based around that. We're not looking for animation. We're still talking about all this stuff that's happening in their minds, all their interactions with NPCs. All of this happens without having a virtual tabletop. The virtual tabletop's a great extra piece, but that's all it is. It shouldn't be your foundation for everything.
They don't get that though. They don't understand that.
Let me say this, guys, because I think the D&D community, as large as it's grown in the last 10 years, because it's grown a lot, we're still not that big. And to think that you aren't going to get yourselves in trouble because you don't have a ton of new fans coming. You've got some because of Critical Role. You've got some coming in because of Stranger Things. but it's still not big enough to sustain going out and treating the people that are fans like this. So, and you've got many other, in the 80s, I remember there were a ton of different role-playing games. D&D was one of them. It was a big one, but there were a ton of other ones. And that's happening again. And all these other gaming systems are coming in, and they're using the new Orc gaming license, which is going to be completely open. You're right. So it's completely open, and all of these different agencies together are agreeing upon this and standing against what D&D and Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro is trying to do with this gaming license, and on making sure things stay open and free. I see this as a huge challenge for them because people are really starting to get interested. D&D has had a not quite a monopoly because you still have a ton of people that have been playing Pathfinder for a long time that love Pathfinder. But you've got a huge group of people that are looking at this going, if this continues, what else we're going to play? And the other thing is, well, I can take all my stuff and what I own right now, I can go play this without any of you. As far as without any of them, because I'm like, I can take the books I've got, I can take the sheets I've got, my dice, and we can just go play. I don't need to buy anything else for it. I can do it all up here as the DM. I don't need you guys doing this stuff. So this has been a nice help. But if you're going to treat me like this, then I've got a group of a lot of guys that are playing every other week. And pretty much everybody's on this path. We're looking at this going, do we keep playing D&D with what we've got, or do we switch to something else? Or we're going to look at Pathfinder. We're going to look at the new games that are looking to come out. And the interesting thing is you can't copyright rule sets. So you can take the rule set right from D&D and pretty much use rules by rules because that's not copyrightable.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I mean, look. I hate to say this. I hate to be that guy.
You're going to be that guy anyway.
I'm not going to be that guy.
You are.
Yeah, I'm that guy. The wet blanket.
I thought you're Batman.
But I'll tell you this much. It doesn't really matter. If the D&D movie fails, guess who's getting the blame? Us.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to get the blame because we didn't come out to support it, which was the lesson they took actually from the lack of from the non-success that the Power Rangers film had. You had a lot of old school fans. They didn't want to support it. Nah, they don't like that. So the next time we do it, we're going to go and do something completely different. Right. You know, that's the lesson that they take. That's the corporate mentality, because it can't be us. You know, it can't be the fact that
it's not our bad idea. It's your fault for not doing A, B, or C.
Right. Even though we never gave you any indication that we were going to do anything you actually liked.
Yeah.
You still should have been there.
All I can say is this is really bad timing for this D&D movie with all of this. Because, and you got to think, if you're Chris Pine, you're going, what are you people doing?
If you're Chris Pine, you're playing another character that's a lot like the character he played, Steve Trevor, in the Wonder Woman films.
Yeah.
I mean, the marketing of this film should be different. The way this film is shot should be different. Look, all of us are thinking to ourselves, D&D, Lord of the Rings. And as I said earlier, to Hasbro, that's not what they are thinking. That's not what they're thinking at all.
But when I see the trailer, though, I actually think, how is my game being played at home? And the trailer's a lot like how the game is played at home. Coming out with a bunch of bad ideas, telling puns, skipping around with your loot.
The whole part of the movie where halfway through it, there's going to be just a scene of like 6 random guys sitting around a table going, you want to do what?
Okay.
Sure, roll the dice.
Literally. I still think...
You can sure try.
I still think Stranger Things is going to be the best D&D movie ever because I still think how it should end is just a bunch of old guys playing D&D and some really rugged guy is like L. That's how I want it to end. I want him to roll and that's how it ends.
And that's a great idea.
Be
But it's
careful you're calling old there. Some of
Hey,
us were those
listen.
kids' age during the 80s.
Listen, I'm old too, so there's that.
Hey, I prefer
AJ,
Middle
come on.
better than old.
You're anything but that. Seriously.
I'm a grandma, so I'm old. That's what my grandkids.
No, you just had kids extremely young.
I was an adult. I'm just going to throw that out there for everyone.
You were finding children the same way we all did, under cabbage leaves. They were dropped off at your doorstep. I mean, you know.
And you know how many kids call me mom who were dropped off on my doorstep? A lot.
Just saying.
But it's one of those things, though. Like, so many missed opportunities. I get that you don't want fans to drive your business. You want to have control of your business. I get that. Okay. However, if fans are who are buying tickets, if fans are who are buying merch, if fans are who are paying your bills, maybe you should listen to them 60% of the time. Still do your stuff. Like, I didn't have a problem when they were talking about raising prices. It's just how they went about it, how much they said they were going to raise prices.
Right.
They were going to take away people's rights to the games. And I know people who have contributed to Wizards of the Coast, as independent people who have created worlds within the world and storylines within the world. And now you're like, let's cut out all the creativity, which is stupid when the business is a creative business.
Right.
It's like when you get, and Keith and I have had this discussion, when you get somebody to write a movie who doesn't know the movie, the characters at all, that's a little frustrating.
A little.
Not everyone can be Tim Burton. Tim Burton somehow does it. I don't know how. He doesn't know the characters and somehow he makes it magic. I'm not sure.
He just makes it really dark.
Like he said earlier, though, it's just your revolving door. And I think a lot of that has now come down to the point of the attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter as far as
TikTok. I blame TikTok.
You're probably not that far off, but as far as the next best thing coming out, it's like, okay, so if the Power Rangers movie failed this year, most people were going to forget about it in 5 years.
Right.
So let's reshoot it. Maybe it'll work then. I mean, this is the first D&D movie we got since, what was it, the late 90s? Early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
That movie was, that was rough.
Well, no, I'm not saying it was any good by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But most of those our age that went and saw it, they're banking that we've forgotten about how bad it was, so we can make another movie. And if it's just as bad, we'll wait again.
And it's a fair assumption if you're going to play on nostalgia, because people are going to go see movies and stuff for nostalgia. The problem is you can't do D&D like you do movies, because nostalgia tells you you can do D&D without all of their little pretty toys.
Right.
Nostalgia says, hey, I knew how to play D&D before I had a freaking computer.
Yes.
Oh, Jesse keeps coming in and going out.
I know. Hopefully she gets things okay where we can enter back in.
I played D&D before cell phones. I played D&D when I had a party line and I had to answer the phone for all of my neighbors. I played D&D before we had computers at home. This is the thing. If you are going to do nostalgia for movies, that's one thing. Because I will go see, a G.I. Joe movie because I liked G.I. Joe growing up. I will go see all kinds of movies for nostalgia. But if you're telling me that you're going to have me do something with D&D, it can't be nostalgia driven if you want, you can't do that. We're not going to pay for something that we know we don't actually need.
Right.
Just cool.
But that's what I was saying. I've got my books that I've got on PDFs. I've got my dice. I don't need D&D Beyond. I like D&D Beyond, But if you're going to charge me $30 a month, see ya, I'm out of here. I'll make it work on Discord with my friends group that's online.
It's
But
not
they don't
just
do that.
about entertaining you. It's about entertaining you in a way that is very reminiscent of how Disney's been handling a lot of their business over the last few years. You've noticed that they are continually trying to charge you a little bit more for certain things, you know. Well, and look at the video game business. You know, home gaming has changed over the last 15 years.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, downloadable content has really opened up a lot of doors.
Right.
You know,
This
back when
is-
when we were young, Keith, they made the whole game.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
were
you could.
talking about that the other day. You bought the entire game all at once.
Bugs and all, you bought the whole game.
And loaded it on little 5.5-inch discs
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again until it finally
And
loaded.
now it's like, oh, you like this skin texture? Here's $5.
Yeah.
You want this colored lightsaber? Here's $5.
Well,
Yes.
if you want to give certain options out there, I don't mind that. If you want to make your whatever look like something, okay, I don't mind that as long as I'm not required to do that. But if you're telling me how the game is played is going to be altered by microtransactions, forget about it.
I'm just afraid that on a virtual tabletop by Wizards, as it stands right now, D&D is going to be a pay-to-win game.
Yeah. And my players are not going to pay to win. That's just, it's not going to happen.
Well,
I mean, we're not going to play with AI DMs as they're talking about. Not
I
going to happen either.
I agree with you, but they want to find a way of continually getting it to the point where we are dumping a lot of money into this.
How about you?
They want to make sure
books that we want.
It's not just about the books, my friend.
I know,
They-
but
they-
I'm saying if you want D&D to make you more money, put out good books that we want.
You know what? That's a good
Maybe-
idea, but how do these kids reading manga and watching anime feel? Can we get them? Because that's what I want. I hear what you're saying. I want them.
Let me speak.
Put this out there for anyone who's listening, and I know there's not many of them. I have watched anime since the 80s. I have read so many manga, it's ridiculous. I know all kinds of things about all kinds of things, and I am still an older D&D player who, guess what, has the money to buy your merchandise, make things freaking optional. Like, if you want to do a Fortnite thing where it's like, oh, you buy this skin, you buy this skin, you buy this outfit for your character, make it optional.
Right, right.
Because there are going to be people who buy it. Like, there are going to be people who are like, I want my character to look like this, because there are people who are buying it in Fortnite. It's happening already.
But guess what? At my table, you may have that on your virtual tabletop, but your character may not have that option.
Right. But don't force people's hand and say, you have to do it.
Right.
Well,
No,
I think
agree.
Jody hit on it earlier. It's if WotC wants to make more money, if Hasbro wants to make more money with the D&D brand, merchandise.
Merchandising.
Spaceballs said it best.
Well, not only that, but if they want to look to, you know, the manga and the anime as their flagship and what they want to broach into, D&D has a wide enough structure that they can do that.
Oh,
The same way that, you know, Critical Roles become big. Like, they can easily make a D&D manga and then put out a companion book of, like, here, if you want to run this campaign, here's the campaign. And then we're also going to, along with whatever you want to name the campaign, here is the, you know, the anime that goes with it, and here's the manga that goes with it.
Right.
Like, across the board, they would make everybody happy. They would triple their revenue because they're increasing revenue streams.
Yep.
And they don't have to come up with that much original content because all they have to do is make the module, play through the module, turn that playthrough into an anime and into a manga.
Right.
Here's something that you need to also understand about Hasbro. They right now want to figure out a way of converting everything that they own into something that can make them money. Okay. They want to create next generation evergreen properties. Okay.
Yeah.
As of right now, their biggest ones that they have, and they have G.I. Joe, they have Monopoly, they have Nerf. Nerf's one. Nerf's
Nerf's a
always
big
selling.
one.
I did not know Nerf was Hasbro now.
Yep.
Yeah, Play School. They have My Little Pony. They have Transformers. They have Peppa Pig. They have PJ Masks. They have Power Rangers, Littlest Pet Shop, and Tonka. Okay, I can guarantee you, and that's just those. They own a lot of board games too.
Yeah.
And a lot of smaller board game companies that I never knew. But the thing is that we can pick out the stuff that's still selling big. And it's not that much out of that list, but what does sell sells big. And that's what they're doing. They're looking at all of this and say, okay, this over here, this small group of things that we have, they're selling big. How do we get this stuff over here to be like this stuff over here? Okay. Critical Role, great idea 10 years ago. Almost everyone that they could have hired to help push the idea of D&D nowadays are considered to be a little too old by marketing for the audience that they want.
So then you get the kids from Stranger Things. You get younger actors to do stuff, and you create a whole new Critical Role, but you don't punish your loyal customers and fans. You start including other people, not excluding other people. When you start excluding people is when you screw your business up.
And the thing is that for a lot of younger people, and this is something, again, this is the thing about having Netflix be what it is. You know, they're looking at the numbers now. They're looking at the people that are watching the shows. And while you have had a response to this past season of Stranger Things, there is the noticeable kind of downward trend. It's not big yet, but that show is also ending. These kids are getting older.
Right.
Okay. And many of them aren't really that interested in real life and doing it. I mean, yeah, you got to pay them a lot of money, but that's the thing. You know, they're looking to hook into something that is on the rise and not something that's just holding steady long enough as it starts to wane.
Then use some of your properties that you own that are already doing well, and you combine them with D&D to bring in younger customers, to bring in younger people.
Barbarian rides in on Pinkie Pie, and
no, but think about this.
D&D Monopoly would be fun. They have a Monopoly.
They actually have it.
Yeah.
They've got a D&D Clue.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can, but see, those are still older things. I'm saying
that's actually ironic that they've got a D&D clue, but they don't have a clue about D&D.
He's here all week, everybody.
He's here all week.
Try the salmon.
But like you talked about, PJ Masks, Peppa Pig. So create a whole cartoon, little kid version cartoon.
Peppa Pig does D&D.
Yes.
I think there was a cartoon in the 80s like that.
There was.
There was.
But so revisit it to get younger kids.
Right?
There was a toy line for D&D back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Stop
I
excluding
would
people.
kill for pre-painted minis. I hate painting minis.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's the reason
And he's
why
like, wow.
the Warhammer deal that they're going to do, that they're doing for Amazon is going to be huge. You have you have the hottest actor who is at the right place in his career at the right time of his career, and someone who is, according to their marketing, is right there in the sweet spot. Okay, men like him, women love him. Kids who have grown up over the last 10 years, I mean, he's Superman to them.
Right.
You know, so to have him do this That's great for the Warhammer people. So what you have is Hasbro needs to figure out how they can get a piece of that, because they wasted an opportunity when World of Warcraft was big.
Mm-hmm.
Now, part of that was, though, the obvious stuff. They're not World of Warcraft. Okay, it's not played the same. That got people into computers. That got people into using computers and not books and die.
Right.
Okay, so I agree again with everything you're saying, AJ. But unless it's coming from somebody that's about more than half my age.
Here's the thing about it. As a mother, as a grandmother, these are the things I would spend money on for my kids and grandkids.
But
and
see,
I have little ones. I'm just saying.
AJ, the problem is that they're not looking where you want to spend your money. They're looking at what your kids are going to ask you to spend money.
Exactly right.
That is why they market towards kids. Like that's the exact same thing that WWE is doing.
But we don't see kids asking for D&D stuff.
Yeah.
That is why WWE went to a PG era. That is why WWE stopped with the overt violence that you see in AEW. No more chair shots. No more sexualization of women. They literally are like, I want to do this for the 10 to 15-year-olds.
Right.
Yep.
That's why honestly, I like John Cena, don't get me wrong, but that's why John Cena made it big, is because he was the superhero type.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And now that those kids are growing up and Gen X, all of us, Gen X,
except for
we want the Attitude Era.
Sorry.
back. we want the Attitude Era back, as far as, hey, give us some good matches, give us some good storylines. We want to see somebody fill a limo up with semen again.
Well, but and the other thing is their thought on this is like, it's great that you got money. So when you leave this earth, you're definitely leaving it to your younger younger offspring.
But
we're gonna bring them in.
But even more immediate to that, one of their big things that they're looking at is us in, X and Y. We have to look and focus at our bills.
Right.
The Gen Z and whatever comes after, I think they're Alpha or whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody mid-20s and under, they're not focused on their bills. They're not focused on their car payments. They're focused on
my 21-year-old is now.
And that's why they target that passing casual, viewer and that passing casual person, because they're not going to hold them to a standard because their attention span is this big.
They're wanting to do to the upcoming generations behind us what Disney did for many years. They created, the thing about Disney is that Disney really did start out as just this company that was built to be entertained. Animation, moving into live action films. Well, now it's this huge corporation. Okay, animation is not at the heart of what they do and hasn't been for quite a few years.
Right.
They are an amusement park company. Period. That is the biggest moneymaker they have. That's the reason why they're still making money, even though parts of the park systems aren't working. Trust me, they are still bringing in the cash.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to just pocket what they make in a day.
Sure.
In a day.
But they diversified things, and you have the option to go to Disney World. You have the option to spend money at Disney World. You can choose to do that. What they're trying to do with D&D is like screw people out of the option to do things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they know they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
just the option. No.
I think they're gambling wrong here, though. I think because the number of fans and the number of people still angry about it, they expected this to blow over in 2 days. We're talking about this 3 weeks later and talking about the ramifications of it. And we're talking about a mass exodus where people are signing petitions, people are dropping their D&D Beyond accounts, people
Their
are
stock
looking.
is dropped.
Hasbro stock
Hasbro
is
stock has gone down.
You've got the Washington Post running articles. You've got all sorts of people running articles about this, about how Hasbro has totally messed up. And I think they have gambled incorrectly, because I don't think we're just going to say, we're looking for them to actually make things right, or a lot of us are going to be playing a different game.
Here's the thing. Okay, you want kids to do this. You want it to be a younger generation. They're not buying your stocks. They can't.
Not yet.
No, but they can't. You have to. They don't now and the future, not just the future. You can't run a business just looking to the future. You have to run a business looking at what is going on right now. What do I need to make myself viable in the future so I have a future? You can't just.
What IP has been going through that the last 5 to 7 years? I'm not gonna. You guys sound exactly the way a lot of us Star Trek fans have been sounding the last few years.
And some of us are still Star Trek fans.
And the thing is that everything you just said, AJ, is true about Star Trek with CBS. They've lost all kinds of money. They are not selling. They don't care. They're still making it. Why? Because they're aiming at a younger audience.
But they could diversify and aim at both things, because they have enough money to do it. Like, if I had the kind of money that they have, do you know how much I would diversify? Jessie and I talked about this, because Jessie has some amazing business plans that she's going to be doing in the next few years. She's working on some plans right now, but it's all about not just pinpointing to one thing. Don't cater to just one group if you can make money from multiple groups. That's stupid.
We need you, Jessie. Hurry up. We need you. But look. I again preaching to.
No, but it's so bad, because these are people. These are, when you look at it and you just think of your life, like, we're all not rich. We're not. Anyone who's listening to this, we don't make money on GeekyKOOL. We would love to. You want to sponsor us? Go ahead.
Hasbro, if you want to give us money, we'll talk really good about you.
No, we won't.
You know what? No. Larry's right. There's a price for everything. You want good PR? I need that. Show me that money.
Yeah.
Right. But if we had the kind of money, how stupid would it be to be like, you know what? I'm going to put all of my money on this future thing that might not work out. Or would it be better to split it up and go, I'm going to put some money to the now, I'm going to put some money to the near future, and then I'm going to put some money to the way off future. That's smart.
I mean, that's common sense, where common sense doesn't apply, AJ. These are corporations that literally billions of dollars. They don't need to worry about tomorrow, the next day, 2 weeks from now, 10 years from now. Hasbro is going to be here longer than we're going to talk about D&D.
I understand.
They are the proverbial dragon on a horde. All they got to do is shut the cave and wait everybody out.
But it's stupid.
It is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying they don't have the right to do it. It's their property. They own it. It's whatever.
I'm sending Bilbo in, by the way, just so you know.
But it's a stupid move.
But I agree with Keith. That's exactly what Star Trek has done over the since Discovery. Well, actually, since probably the Calvinverse. Because there was a lot of people that were all about J.J. Abrams and the original in Star Trek, about how it wasn't Trek. Mm-hmm. Well, if we go back far enough back, when Next Gen came out, there were people watching Next Gen that grew up on the original series that were like, that's not Star Trek.
Yeah.
Right. I know it.
But the difference is that you had a lot of people that actually were responsible for making Star Trek that helped out with that.
Yeah.
And eventually a lot of that stuff came through. With this, you don't have the same thing, and it does not translate to the merchandising. At the height of its at the height of it being popular again, Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, when you look at everything that they had in the Berman versus Star Trek, they sold a lot of merchandise.
Books,
comments. Yeah, but you don't have that now.
No.
You do not have the sales are in the toilet. Okay. CBS already had their stock downgraded more than once. They don't care. They're still making this stuff. And now you had the revelation that, oh, wait a minute. Netflix was responsible for financing the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, which is the reason why season 3 sucked, because the quality went down because Netflix hauled ass out of that deal as soon as they could get out. You know, again, they don't care.
There's enough content, though. There's enough content that they can just literally squeeze everyone.
It's like what I said, the ass is coming out of your mouth right now. I said
what they want to do is they want to streamline. They don't want to diversify. Because the more you diversify up at the top, unless you're going to actually branch off, the more coordination you need, the more managers and everything that you have to hire to cross-coordinate, because they only believe in the pyramid power structure. They don't like the free flow, the free flow brainstorm outreach kind of power structure. They only like the pyramid. So for every diversification they add in, they have to throw a whole new pyramid management.
Yep.
The problem is that the millennials and everyone younger than them are going more toward the brainstorming community.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
and so
I think us Gen Xers actually have been there. We're just like, we just keep waiting for
the rest of
the boomers to get out of the way so we can actually make things go.
Yeah, and that's a lot of our society right now too, is, you know, that power struggle between what is and what has been compared to the free form that the newer generations are wanting. And Gen X is kind of stuck in the middle of, well, we told you guys this 20 years ago.
Yes, we did.
we were too young and you were still in your prime, so we couldn't really do anything about it.
We're just going to sit here and watch it all burn,
nobody
baby.
remembers.
I'm with you, watching it burn down, Bubba. Let's watch it. Come on.
Because in the end, it's not my fault, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, where it's like diversification is amazing, and it's a really good strategy for building your foundation out to make your company more stable in the long term. Hasbro's already diversified enough. If one of their things tanks, Hasbro isn't going under. So they don't need to diversify. They want to streamline, because the more streamlined, the less they have to invest in maintenance. Right. And the more everything is just money in, money in, same product going out on an assembly line.
It's like the person that just won the lottery.
If they diversify their little things. Like
it's
if
like
they diversified D&D, it would be.
Yeah, but you're making sense.
I know.
It's like a person who just won the lottery. You have you have those very few people that think to themselves, I'm going to pay bills and I'm going to make it so that I can live comfortably. And then you got a certain majority that just go out and say, I want that new car. Oh my God.
See,
I want to
take all these trips.
Keith, I literally have a notebook that says, if I won the lottery, and it says $10,000 a month for 20 years for bills, just cover everything, no matter what I do. There you go. That's taken.
Okay, but how often do you play the lottery, AJ?
Once a month.
Okay. Compared to the people who are playing every day, they're just going to dump that money.
Oh, I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to go to California.
I can't afford to pay the lottery once or twice a week. I can't afford that. Who can afford $4 a week?
There are those people.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that'll just not eat and play the lottery hoping they're going to win it big, AJ.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I'm not stupid.
That's called gambling addiction, and there's a number you can call for that.
There's some people that are just like, they'll do whatever for that dollar.
So what you guys are telling me is you guys are telling me I just have way too much common sense.
And
Critical thinking skills. I don't like to call it
common sense to work in corporate anything.
You've got the brains, you've got the looks, you're the total package. There's a reason why your husband married you. Okay?
He knows
It's
it.
all these. Like,
I'm just saying
they
that.
want to have a room with toys.
I'm just saying that right now we have reached a period within corporate entertainment and merchandising where everybody has this feeling like we got to sell it all now. It's all got to go. Yeah. We got to get them. We got to get them while they're young. We got to hook them. You know, and
then use new tools to hook them.
It's the immediate gratification.
But if you get somebody hooked for 30 years, you think you'd kind of figure out how to work that rather than just cut.
I know my right from my left.
Well, I mean,
Jesse,
if it were perfect, the right mom. Like seriously, you want little kids to be into D&D, you're gonna have to get them into D&D.
No, they don't want to put the effort in, AJ. That's why they're not diversifying. They don't want to put in the effort. They just want you to give them more money for doing the same thing.
They're like a young person. They're like a kid themselves. Oh, why can't you just give me money for me to get what I want?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Jesse, you were going to say something about common sense. I was really interested to hear that. Can you go ahead and...
So one of my horseback riding instructors was really big on this. Going away from the term common sense in general, because if it was common sense, everybody would already have it and think it. But your common sense is built on your common experiences, when instead most people mean critical thinking.
Right.
Like, if it's not something you commonly experience, that, like, if you go someplace, you know, when you walk up to the door and it has, like, the bar across the middle, that usually means you push on it, right? That is our common sense. Well, if somebody's coming from a culture that doesn't have those doors and we walk by and they're pulling it and we're like, where's your common sense at? They are not commonly exposed to that. And so it came up a lot in horseback riding because when I went to college for it, she's like, we have people from barns from all over the U.S. And in some cases, we had a couple foreign exchange students. So she's like, we don't use common sense here. We use critical thinking because everybody's common sense and what is common and accepted in their barn is different. And I find that applies to a lot of things in life more than just outside of the horse world. Yeah. Because, again, there's a lot of times, like, there was something you said earlier, Dee, about common sense. And I was like, I've never thought of that, or I've never heard of that. So where it might be common to you, either because of your generation or your background or whatever else, that was completely new to me as of, like 20 minutes ago, whatever it was you said. I've completely forgot about it now because topic changed a billion times.
We're like that, Jesse. Yeah. That's how this show
absolutely. But that's where AJ's like, they're not using their common sense because of diversification. But AJ's common sense is applied to a different level of business than corporate, where corporate is like, no, common sense on the corporate level is we want streamline. We're already diversified. We want a new cash cow. We don't want something we're going to have to put effort into.
And how do we get money to our shareholders? The bottom line.
Oh, it's all about the shareholders.
Yeah, it's all about the shareholders. And if you can get them more money, it doesn't matter how you did it. Just keep doing it so we can keep giving them money. And
if they did it the way I said, they'd get more money.
Oh, wait a minute. I heard
because AJ, the way you're saying it is more risk. The way you're saying it, diversifying, while it creates a bigger, stable base, it also creates more risk because you have more moving parts, because you have more things that you have to manage. When you get that high up in corporate, the way you diversify is completely separate companies.
Right.
The way if the company starts going downhill, you just kick it off the boat, as opposed to, okay, this is failing, let's shore it up. We're talking corporate, not community.
Right.
Community is let's diversify, let's work on it, build everything up.
Yeah, but they bought a community-driven, creative-based business.
They did.
They're trying to make it a corporate business, and the problem is they're failing because it's not going to fit right. It's
absolutely.
You had me right up until it's not going to fit. No, no. You people are the problem.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's you guys that are the problem.
It's Gen X's fault.
It's a
hey, don't you know, Keith, everything's
They're
my
just
fault.
going to blame the millennials, and you know it.
Yeah, well, that's because they'll look at it and say, well, there's the boomers, and then there's the millennials, and then we got Gen Z.
It's not our fault.
They never blame us. It's always
We'll come over here and smoke a while because you guys are going to keep doing your thing.
Because numbers-wise, there are so few of us in Gen X, nothing really is our fault.
I agree.
We are an entire generation of people that are just doing nothing than watching everything burn.
Yeah.
Well, listen to the music that we grew up on. Pretty much it was, you people are destroying the world. We can't do anything about it. Okay, rock on.
I mean, we got past. Generational influence doesn't work with Gen X. So we're just a generation that can just sit by and it's like, well, that's an interesting guy. Oh, wait a minute, this is a train wreck. Should I say something? No. Don't say anything. Let's see how this plays out.
That's because we were the kids that were dropped off at home alone at 10 years old. Just don't answer the door. Don't eat anything weird.
Your parents waited until you were 10? Damn.
Yeah, mine didn't, but
be home by street lights. It's fine.
I know. Well, we could imitate Evel Knievel with our bikes,
right?
Skateboards. We could build all of the weirdest stuff.
Skateboards without any pads or helmets.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Right.
What are you talking about? We had dirt underneath our swing sets.
Yep.
Yes.
And
like we dug that like
rocks.
Merry-go-round of death.
And slides were hot metal.
Yep.
Yes.
An entire generation of young boys raised on a combination of westerns, on really bad horror and sci-fi. It was like that, and wrestling. So, what do you think that's going to do to us?
Not just boys. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah,
Wrestling was my jam.
AJ.
I'm not normal. I know.
Perfect, dear. You're perfect.
So, one thing that I wanted to bring up, because Keith, you keep mentioning, it's all about the shareholders.
Yes.
And AJ brought up earlier that it's not the kids that are buying shares and stocks. Shareholders don't care about what the product is. They only care that there's money. Most shareholders aren't interested in what the product is. They see this stock is going up, buy it. This stock is going up, buy it.
Absolutely.
But Hasbro stock is going down.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, absolutely, because they done messed up. But
if you look,
but before that, it was going up.
Yeah. If you look at it though,
when people buy stocks, and most people don't directly buy their own stocks.
No.
The people who are buying, significant and weight-worthy amounts of stocks aren't buying their own stocks. It's in a holding company. And all this company does is run the algorithm of, okay, this business has been steady. We're going to throw some money there.
Yep.
This business has been raising. We're going to throw some money there. This business is going down, but they also did this time last year. And after that, they went up. So we're going to throw some money in there, even though it's a little bit riskier. And so the people who are buying stocks don't care what the product is at all. They just care that it's going to bring money in.
Right.
Or they're going to pull their stocks. Which is why the companies at the top, the corporate, they only care about their shareholders. Because the shareholders pull their money and the company value tanks.
And that's what is now running entertainment.
Everything.
It didn't used to be like that. Yeah, everything really. But that's what entertainment has become. That's the reason why you have all these studios. Why they can do what they're doing. Why it seems like a good idea. Hey, let's remake a show that was on 30 years ago, and it'll be uber popular because it has a large fan base. Well, not every television show that you could remake from 30 years ago has the same fan base.
Right.
Not everybody has the same connection to that show.
Right.
So why are you picking certain shows? For instance, Magnum PI. To those of us in Gen X, it has a certain type of feeling and it brings back memories. I guarantee.
Well, if you look at that 70s show and that's 90s show.
Yes.
Same thing with Full House and Fuller House. Boy Meets World and Girl Meets World.
What I was going to say, though, about Magnum PI is I guarantee you, though, it isn't the same exact thing.
No.
Because you have a television show where it's all younger people, good-looking people, doing interesting things in Hawaii. In Hawaii, which means that you can sell that worldwide. It doesn't matter if they know Magnum PI or not. What you're doing is you're selling that. You are selling the look and the feel, the car. Yeah, if there's a bunch of stuff attached to it, that's fine if there are some fans for it, but for the most part, that's really what you're selling, and that happens a lot with a lot of this stuff. You can, again, it still amazes me that they actually made a Bewitched movie.
I know.
They brought Bewitched back.
I totally didn't even know they came out with a Bewitched movie, and I loved Bewitched.
Nicole Kidman played in it.
Yeah, she was. It was interesting.
He played a witch. Here's the thing: in the movie, they were rebooting Bewitched, and she played the actress. She was a witch who played the actress who played Samantha.
Yes, that's awesome.
But on top of that, they also brought back My Favorite Martian. They did a My Favorite Martian movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are going, wait a minute, My Favorite.
That was back. Holy.
Oh, wait a minute. Looking at that show, isn't that the guy that was in the Incredible Hulk? You mean he did something before the Incredible Hulk?
Oh my goodness gracious.
They don't even know that anymore, Keith.
Yeah, true. I mean, I would tell them, well, he actually had two shows before the Incredible Hulk. He had The Courtship of Eddie's Father and The Magician. But that's just me.
That reminds me of one of my favorite memes with Sean Ashton, where people are like, "Oh, he's from this." No, actually, he's from this. Well, if you didn't know him from the Goonies, you're all way too young for this conversation.
Well, that or hey, hear the one how easy helped this old musician find new fans. I think his name's Paul McCartney.
Yes. Or oh god, when Snoop Dogg was got famous for selling his cookbook a couple years ago when he came out with a new cookbook, and like people are dogging on him because he's out there with Martha Stewart, and everybody's like, "Y'all don't know, only one of them went to prison."
Not the one you.
I actually own Snoop Dogg's cookbook, and it's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
I mean, Snoop knows what he's doing, But look, it's.
You're going to cook this for 20 minutes? It's plenty time to tell good.
It has to be good considering what he likes to do recreationally.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
a different plot.
You let it chill in there, man. Just let it chill. It's all good.
Why
did
you turn into Tommy Chong there? like you didn't hurry just like he totally sounded like Leo from that 70s show. I'm just throwing that out.
It's true.
When you said it was more Leo than TikTok.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Well,
there's the railroad track, and we're off.
And
talking about that, guys, we've been going for an hour and a half, so I wanted to bring us to a close here.
I love that Keith apologized. And for anybody who's listening on our new podcast, go back and watch some of our older shows. You will see that when Keith comes on here, we have so much fun with him. We do tend to go longer. Although, Keith, I will tell you this. The last few times, it's just been me and Professor, and we've gone an hour and a half to 2 hours as well. So it's not always you.
Yeah, those are the ones that are usually 3 hours.
Real quick, before we end it, the bottom line is with Wizards and WotC and everything else is Hasbro bought them.
Right.
If WotC tanks, if D&D tanks, Wizards will not be above putting them on the market and seeing who else wants to buy them. That is a loss risk that they're willing to take at this point. D&D has the potential to be an incredible future for Hasbro if it's contained and operated correctly. But right now, if things keep trending in that downward direction, it's not out of the possibility that Hasbro just puts Wizards back up on the market.
Right.
But sell them back to TSR.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, you could end up selling it to the corporation that now holds the rights to Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
You know, Conan would be great. That'd be a great character to bring into the world of D&D. But wait a minute, what do I know? That's a smart idea. What am I saying?
Sell it to Tolkien to Tolkien.
Person's idea. What are you talking about? We're not young enough.
What do I know?
Looks like a Gen X thing to me. I don't know.
I'm just so old dude that loves watching everything in entertainment burn. Ultimately,
it falls around you.
Do you have his final thoughts, Jesse? Do you have your final thoughts on that you would like to add about D&D and Wizards?
My final thoughts is that they're going to have to do a heck of a lot to really show faith to their players and their DMs to make up for ground lost. Because as of right now, like me and everybody else I know is like, okay, bye D&D, we're switching over to Pathfinder and everybody else who's part of the org.
Yeah.
When my phone glitched out earlier, I missed part of the conversation about the org. But one of my favorite things about the org and the way it's written and what Paizo is doing is they are writing into their org and they're giving over the holding of the org to a not-for-profit to make sure that it never changes.
Right.
And they've already started coming out with solid, like, these are drafts that we're going to build on. We're not going to go backwards with it, though.
Right.
Whereas D&D is still Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, they're all still backpedaling. And they have a very short time of window before those of us who were on the fence about whether or not we're going to forgive them are gone forever.
Yep, agreed.
Keith, your final thoughts?
You know what? I mean, there's wasted opportunity of getting famous people to talk about their love of D&D. You know, when you think about, you know, Joe Manganiello and Sam Whitwer and his brother, whose name, unfortunately, I forgot. His brother's an author who wrote about the creation of D&D. Good book. But I cannot see any way out that doesn't involve either them ultimately listening to us or choosing a direction that isn't really ultimately going to be so different and kind of dependent on having a little faith. So I'm fearful in that sense. Look, we're gonna get this is a Gen Z thing to say, but we're gonna get blamed no matter what. Okay, they're just gonna come at us and just say, "Look, you people," because you know that's how they talk, and they're just gonna blame us. I mean, if this film and everything else they're doing right now fails,
it's the fans' fault. It
is our fault. That's
100% will be our fault.
Yeah.
We're shaking for all those who are listening and not watching us. We're all shaking our heads. No, but they're going to blame us anyway. So.
Being Gen Xers, we got used to being blamed for a lot of things. We've been called a lot of things. We had our fathers call us all sorts of names. Kids today would just crumble at.
All I know is we survived the Mayan calendar and we survived going from to the year 2K. Okay,
yeah, we did. Well, Keith, we survived the doomsday clock being on 11:59 with the thought that the world was going to blow up at any moment because Russia was going to nuke us and we were going to nuke them back.
We survived. We survived no more music videos at MTV, and we survived the Cola Wars.
Right.
So
right.
I think we're pretty, you know.
I think we could survive without Hasbro.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, you want to call us names, you want to blame us for something. Can't you do better than that? Come on. I had kids when I was in 5th grade that called me worse things. Come on. Bring it if you're going to bring it, because I'm going to bring it back. As you know, I may just raise a finger at you and tell you, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about
That's
it.
not the right finger. So
Or PG.
If we are, I'm trying to keep it that way.
Listen, you know how many times I've tried to.
I know, and I appreciate that. We
Give peace a chance.
The fans of D&D are fans because of the community, and if you're going to do things to take that away, most of the fans, not all of them, a good portion of the fans are going to leave and find other things to do, such as Pathfinder or Paizo or many of the other corporations. 40 different gaming companies have signed on to the ORC. This is the way things are coming. Hasbro wants it. You can do it your way, but it's going to cost you. Or you can listen to the fans, roll things back, stop trying to mess with the OGL, and maybe there are places for a few adaptions to that, but listen to what you're doing and don't even think about charging us extra money to come on and play. If you want to charge us extra money, then you're going to make a lot of goodwill. And this movie, I want to see this movie, but I'm not going to go see this movie right now. Unless you do something better, I'm out. I'm out on your show. I'm out on your movie. And when my subscription for D&D Beyond is up, I'm out.
What?
So if you want
here.
to keep fans, do it the right way. If not, we'll find some other games to play. There's plenty out there.
And if we can't find other games, guess what?
We'll make our own.
Make them up.
We'll make our own.
Yeah,
World of Warcraft, baby.
Role-playing game up for superheroes back in 1987. I think I can handle it now.
Warhammer.
Hey, we got sent outside to play with sticks, rocks, and our imagination. We don't need your games.
Sure, you're not a Gen Xer.
Jesse, we got LARPing, don't we?
All my siblings are.
See, there you go.
All my siblings are.
Listen, you cannot listen to us, and that's fine. It's your property. But I'm saying this now, you will blame the fans, but it's not our fault. Stupidity has caused this. Arrogance has caused this. And not being transparent and not being upfront with people who have built the community that you bought has caused this. So when it comes down to it, you can blame anybody you want to blame, but what you should be doing is looking in the mirror.
Yeah, you tell them.
I know.
Not just firing the creators you got. They're not the problem. The normal person that works for D&D and
we love average people.
Those guys are great. So we don't blame those people at all because they're doing what they've got to do for a job.
Yes. I'm talking about the ones who make the decisions.
Right. I agree.
Stupid. I don't blame the people who have to listen to their boss because we have all had bosses we had to listen to that we knew were like, oh, that's a mistake. But they are your boss and you do your job. However, the bosses do not think that we're going to take the blame for this one. You can blame us, but we're not. We've told you that you're being stupid. We've told you that you have your head up your butt. And we've told you we won't put up with it. So when you tank, don't blame us. And if you do, we're not taking it this time.
To quote the immortal words of Twisted Sister, we're not going to take
it.
I knew you were going there with that, Professor. I knew it.
Well, how could I not? All right. So,
all right, guys. This has been awesome.
I know. Thank you guys for joining us. And we're at the time of the show where we like to mention our friends out there that do similar type of shows like this.
Yes.
And AJ usually leads on this part because she's awesome at it.
Also, before we do that, I want to thank Jessie for joining us.
Thank you, Jessie.
Thanks for having me.
Jessie, you're always welcome.
Yes. Jessie has a new business that she has started that she's amazing at, and it's up in Springfield. And Jessie, you want to tell them the name of it because it's really cool and it will really tie in with this.
It's very related. It's called RPG Dog Training. My tagline is level up your dog. But I want to help people start looking at their dog as an individual. And so the way I have things broken down when I'm helping clients assess their dog is by classes. Like, do you have a companion class dog? Your dog doesn't really care much more than to just chill at home on the couch.
That's my
Do you have a dog that falls into one of the working class dogs? And we need to find it a job. One of the classes that I have set up is the investigator class. These are dogs, mostly hounds, but pretty much any dog will fall into it too. Of do they like to use their nose and shove their nose in everything? And it's a way to help evaluate your dog and get it more, help your dog level up and have a better life. So
that's awesome.
So that's out of Springfield. You can find it on Facebook. Be sure to go when you go onto Facebook and you find her page, like it. There's going to be some amazing things coming up. She just started really focusing on that this year, so only in the last month. So, but she does a great job, and her service dogs that she has trained that are hers, I love them so much. They're amazing. And so if you need some help, like training your dog, whether it be service dog or just some training or just finding out what kind of dog you have, call Jessie. So now that is done.
You'd like to have Jessie's dog.
Jesse's dog instead of
you would bring her back. Amy is the sassiest girl in the world. You would bring her back.
Oh my gosh. So Jessie has some amazing dogs, but she does such a good job. And I can attest to the fact that her dogs are very well behaved, her personal dogs, and I know she does a great job because I've seen her training videos and stuff like that. So be sure to go check that out. Jessie, is it just on Facebook? RPG?
Facebook and TikTok.
And TikTok. So guys, go check that out. Give it a like.
Millennials and their TikTok.
It's a thing. But now that we're done here, you can see there's a couple of our guests. We have Dee that says Skallywag Productions, and then we have Keith that says host Pop Culture Minefield. These are a couple of our friends. Let's start with Pop Culture Minefield. I can pop it up there. There we go. This is Keith, and he is co-host with Gary over at Pop Culture Minefield. We have a bunch of shows. Keith, how many shows are you doing now over there?
Oh, well, we have now officially become, we've gone into business with KGRA online radio. So now we've launched all these different shows depending on the day. Now, every day at 10, we're going to have a morning show. Each morning show is slightly different. My show is called Morning Coffee with Keith, and it's every Friday at 10. I give you the latest and greatest, plus some thoughts of my own, But we also have... But we have all kinds of shows. We have Military Monday. We have the UFO show on Wednesday.
And I really enjoy that show, by the way.
It's a blast putting a lot of that stuff together. But we're having to be kind of a little more responsible putting our shows together. So let me just say, Fuel Up for Life. It's our new sponsor that we have now because I gotta drink it now and be all corporate and stuff.
It happens to the best of you. I'm just saying.
We're looking for corporate sponsors on this show, just so anybody watching. If you're watching because of Keith, then just know
he comes on here all the time.
He does. It would be a great place to add a sponsorship.
You know what? Considering that I host a show on Fridays at 10 a.m. I would love the opportunity to have you guys on sometime. So if you happen to be able to do it at that time. But,
my schedule's always like fluid, so one of these Fridays I'll like.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you guys to it.
All right, sounds good.
Keith, are you still over here as well? Can people still find you at Keith Chimes In?
That show has gone away, mainly because Fat Steven has become very, very much in demand. He's working with some of the biggest shows on YouTube right now.
Well, he was working with you, so that makes sense.
Well, he and I are able to work together on the TGIF show that comes on at 2:00 every Friday afternoon. So, but I mean, it's a living in a way.
There you go. All right, that's awesome, Keith.
Is that your man? Tell him I said hi.
He's been up. He only had 45 minutes of sleep from work. So
you know what?
Wow.
Fuel up for life. It'll give you all the energy you need.
He's worked 26 of the last 36 hours. So that's a thing.
Needs a snow day.
Oh, right. Then we have the Ozpod gals over on Facebook. Now that is it says on Thursdays, but it's sporadic right now. But you still go check them out. They're funny, they're cute, they know so much, and they're nerdy, geeky girls, and we love them. So,
and we will be seeing them live at OzCon in just a few months.
Which we love OzCon. OzCon's in West Plains.
God, forgot about that.
What, OzCon?
Yeah, I forgot it was coming up.
Yes. April, the end of April, last weekend of April, we'll be there. So we'll definitely have some fun. We might do something fun for our first wedding anniversary since we got married there last year. So we have our distinguished competition over at Nerd Informants on YouTube and Facebook. That's Tim and Josh. Josh does some great interviews on his own through them as well, but they have movie reviews and TV shows that they talk about, video games, all kinds of wonderful things. And guess what? They're amazing, wonderful guys who will make you laugh, especially if you can ever watch the video of Tim watching Annabelle. He screams like a little girl. It's hilarious. And something awesome for everyone who's a little nerdy, geeky, and just wants to be part of the community. They created a Facebook page called The Nerd Informants Beyond. You can go on there, click join, and guess what? You can post memes, you can ask questions, you can just become part of this nerdy, geeky community that we're all a part of. So be sure to go do that. Then let's see here we have. Let's see if it pops up. There it goes. Check out our partners, Skallywag Productions on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and much more. Dee has some amazing shows with my husband, Shpoo, called The Show. There's a whole playlist of it. They were hilariously funny. They really need to start getting back to it. I really wish they would, because my husband drives me crazy most of the time.
Do it.
The bloopers made everything. You gotta watch the bloopers. That's it.
The bloopers are amazing.
The bloopers in the trailers were actually better than the show.
It was true. It's a true statement. And
as it often is, right? In most shows.
You can literally find it. A playlist of just the bloopers, a playlist of just the trailers. It's great. Skallywag Productions I did a couple video things with him, and we're hoping to do some more this year. As long as we don't have these 26-hour days, right? we're good. And then there's us.
Ta-da!
GeekyKOOL.com. Can't talk. We're not only on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, but we are now a podcast where you can find us anywhere you find your podcast. You can listen to us. But we also have our own website where you can contribute if you would like. If you would like to write something, feel free to message one of us. We can put it on there. We can let you become a contributor, and you can write for us whenever you want. But it is a geeky community that is safe for kids. Gives you all kinds of news and everything. We're pretty cool.
We are. We're even geeky and cool.
Cool with a K.
Cool with a K. Like Cool in the Gang.
Cool in the Gang.
For all of us Gen Xers.
And anybody who doesn't understand that, we're sorry.
Yeah, we love you still. Anybody.
It's always ladies' night.
Yeah, exactly. It's a celebration, Keith. It's a celebration.
What did you say earlier, Keith? If they don't get that, they're the wrong demographic.
Don't worry about it. They'll find a way of blaming us. They always do.
It's always our fault.
Well, I want to thank our guest once again. Thank you, Keith, for popping on here with us. We always appreciate when you come over, my friend. Dee, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing your expertise in D&D. And Jesse, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad you did. I loved your insights on everything. You're awesome, girl. So make sure to check out her leveling up there with her pets, and
we will post something on our Facebook if you're watching this, a link to her Facebook page so you can go give her a like and follow.
That sounds great. And do make sure anytime you see any of our friends, either on Facebook or YouTube or any other platforms, you like, you comment, you do the subscribe, all of the things plays into those. I can't say the word. Algorithm. Oh my gosh. Algorithm.
It brings us up in the algorithm so more people see us, so more people can enjoy us. And that way we also know that you guys like us.
Yeah, we certainly do.
With my self-esteem, I need that. Give it to me.
Well, and it's always good to know that what we're doing that people are interested in. So
look,
that easy. It's that easy, right, Keith?
It's that easy.
It's so simple, even I can do it.
Where's the beef? All right. So,
thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys for joining us. We do appreciate you guys. Anybody watching, we've had some watchers all the way through. We appreciate you guys, people watching it later and listening to us on all of the different podcast streams. Thank you so much. Please keep it up. Let us know what we are doing right and what we're doing wrong. And remember, whatever you... watching Keith there. Oh my gosh, crack me up. And just remember, stay geeky, and we'll catch you next week.
Be kind, everyone. Thanks.